welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Welcome to Big Blend Radio. On today's show, travel writer Chrissy Nason-Smith is joining us to tell us all about Scotland's beautiful Wester Ross region, where she's also the owner of an-cos, which is a luxurious 5-star vacation home in the village of Shieldaig. And you can go to the website. It's an-cos-shieldaig.co.uk. I'm going to spell that out because I just want to prove I can spell in Scottish. It's A-N-C-O-S Shield, S-H-I-E-L-D, A-I-G.co.uk. And it's also up on nationalparktraveling.com. And we're very excited because, Chrissy wrote an article about the region, and it is in the June-July issue of Parks and Travel magazine. And you can also see it up on nationalparktraveling.com. Just type in Scotland, and you'll find both places. And welcome, Chrissy. How are you?
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for inviting me to come on your program. I'm very well, thank you.
It's exciting.
Up here in the Highlands as we speak.
You are in the Highlands. Okay, because that's so interesting. Yeah. And an-cos, like I thought it was an-cos because it's A-N-C-O-S, but you say it's an-cos, and you say that's Gaelic.
Which is Gaelic for the hollow, because the house is kind of built in a natural hollow, surrounded by some of the very ancient rocks that we have here, some of the oldest in the world, and behind a dry stone wall which is over 300 years old, and it's just a natural kind of amphitheatre, so known locally by the villagers as the Cosh.
Oh, okay. And so you're in the village of Shieldaig, and I was looking at the house. I mean, this looks like the ultimate retreat because it looks very, old Scotland, and at the same time, you're right, overlooking a loch, right?
Yes, we're overlooking Loch Shieldaig with a large wooded island in the centre of the loch, and then overlooking the village, which is really one little street along the shore with fishermen's cottages. Many of them have been updated, although still fishing goes on from the village. And then out to sea, we look towards the Outer Hebrides to the islands of Harris and Lewis. Sorry, it went out of my head. Harris and Lewis. So the views are spectacular, and as is the location, I have to say. I first came up here in my 20s, which is a long time ago. My husband brought me up here, and I just fell in love with the place. He'd been coming up here since he was a child because his ancestors are from the area.
Oh, wow. So that's nice to keep up with, your family history as well. And, I was reading in your article about this whole region. You said it is really quite important for, not just Scotland, but also for like the British Isles and the United Kingdom, because it's also recognized by UNESCO as a special area and a biosphere-reserve.
Yes, it is. We were granted that status in, I think it was September last year. But Lisa, everybody who ever comes here has always known that it's a very special area. Apart from the geological aspect of it, there are lots of other things. The nature that is here are fantastic. We've got one of the only places in the UK where we've got sea eagles. And they're putting quite a lot of wildlife back into the Highlands, wild cats and things that really had gone out of existence. Red squirrels as well, they're now putting back, and they just thrive in areas like this. We've got lots of wonderful sea life as well, dolphins, seals, otters, the occasional whale. So it's really quite different to lots of other areas of the UK, and even people who are Scottish who live in the central belt and further down in the more populated areas of Scotland around Edinburgh, Glasgow, etc. When they come up here, they're just absolutely blown away because it is so beautiful. We've got quite a lot of mountains around here, probably not as large as your mountains in the States, but they're pretty much the largest mountains in the UK.
Wow.
So
Wow.
really, really very nice area, very unspoilt. And we've still got lots of single track roads with, passing places. And yeah.
Amazing.
I
We
mean,
don't get those very often.
Sorry?
We don't get those kind of roads very often out here. It's sometimes you get them in certain park areas, but you're talking about such beautiful scenery and the wildlife. It just and just the mountains, the water. To me, I'm a hiker or a walker, I should say, over there in your land. Is this an area that has trails that people can go out and go hiking? Can they go kayaking if people are into the outdoors and getting outside and getting some fresh air?
I mean, really, there's something for everybody. I mean, for example, we get quite a few families coming up to stay at the house from very small tots up to, grandparents. We've had people here well into their 90s. They can sit in the window of the house, and if they're not well enough to go out hiking, they can sit in the whole scenery can come to them, because you can watch the weather patterns come across the loch, and you can have 4 seasons in one day sometimes, and you can see sea life and bird life from the window as well. And then for those who want extreme sports, there's really fabulous mountain climbing. We've got kayaking. There are also, you can go out on sailing trips, and for there's archery, fishing, stalking. Some of these things have to be booked in advance, and there's, for anybody who just wants to go on gentle rambling, there are walks that you can do. We've got one of the most beautiful walks that starts just at the back of the house, actually, and it takes about maybe only an hour and a half, but the views are just spectacular, walking from an-cos-shieldaig over to Loch Torridon with all of the backdrop of the Torridon Mountains towering behind. And that's a fabulous walk. We've also got one of the only tennis courts in the Highlands. So, yes, I know, because one of the things that the villagers do up here, they're very good at kind of fundraising and having nice events throughout the year and raising money. And then this happens throughout the UK, that councils will put money towards an amount if you reach a certain target. And then if you're going to do something that's to do with sport or something like that, you can usually get permission and quite a big grant for, putting something into the village that everybody can use. So the villagers chose a tennis court, so which everybody can use who comes to the village as well.
How interesting. Now, what about the food? Because I know that's the one thing everyone's going to wonder is, what is the food like over in your region? Because I just, can imagine this quaint village. Are you getting, pub food, or is it farm to table? What kind of food?
It's interesting. Having come up over here for 40 years, I've seen quite a change in the type of food that is offered. It used to be quite Spartan and not many places to eat, but certainly in the last 5 years or so, there are a lot more really great cafes have come up with, homemade soups and obviously a lot of fresh salmon and smoked salmon. We have got, just in this small area, about 3 award-winning restaurants. One of them is, kind of high table award-winning restaurant with, really 6-9 course tasting menus. So you can get everything from, venison. Most of the food is locally sourced, and the fish is obviously locally sourced. In the village of Shieldaig, literally 3 minutes walk from the house, we've got our own smokehouse. So they smoke cheese, they smoke salmon, and mackerel when it's in season. So fish is very high on the agenda. There are quite a few fishermen in the village who go scallop diving, so hand dive scallops, lobsters, crab, and you can get it all dressed here as well. You can get it delivered to your door if if you're staying in somewhere like an-cos where you're self-catering. There's
nice.
just an abundance of food that you can have, and also if you don't want to self-cater all the time, there are places that you can go in the village pub, 5 minutes walk from the house. You can get quite a varied menu of fish, meat, vegetarian dishes. They've even got a pizza oven, which is something quite unusual in the Highlands. It is. And then, 10 minutes, 15 minutes drive away, you've got the Torridon Hotel, which has the gastronomic restaurant as well as a pub with pub food. And then if you go over to Applecross, which is about 45 minutes to an hour's drive from here, but you go over, to get there, you go over the highest mountain ascent road in the whole of the UK. It's single track in most places, with passing places, with sheer drops, spectacular views, and when you get to the top, you have the most stunning view of the Coolin Mountains in the Isle of Skye. So it's worth going just for that. And then you go down into Applecross village, and there's a pub, which, to be fair, most people look at it and think, my goodness, is this really, a great place to eat? It's not anything to look at, but the food is spectacular. And it made the Times newspapers, it came number 75 in the top best 100 restaurants in the UK. And that beat lots of restaurants with Michelin stars, etc., etc. Yeah, it's really good.
You're
and
talking
they
about
specialize in seafood as well. So
yeah, that's something that's big in your area for sure. And you're talking about this beautiful drives. One thing I wanted to ask you is, one, can you get to an-cos year round? And two, isn't it also off of the North Coast 500 scenic route that you have?
It is. The house an-cos is open all year, and Shieldaig is on the North Coast 500, which is a route that starts at Inverness Castle, and it's a 500-mile route around the north coast from Inverness, going right up to John O'Groats in the north, and all the way back around. And so when you're coming back around, you come down through Shieldaig, and it takes you further down south to Fort William, and then you cut across and go back to Inverness. And it's a 500-mile round trip. You've got miles as well in the States, haven't you?
Yes, we're miles.
You're not kilometers, you're miles. Yeah. So you'll know how far that is. And it really is a spectacular route. It only came about maybe, I think they're into their third year now of promoting this route, and it's already been voted in one of the top 5 road trips around the world.
I can imagine. I mean, a 516-mile route that's scenic, to me, that's, and it's such a treasured thing when you have places like that, because it gets all the communities to maintain their sense of place. So, you're getting to somewhere new each time. And I think that's something so beautiful about England, Scotland, and Wales, is that, from my memories there, is that all the villages and the scenery, there's a sense of place that the history is preserved, and the natural beauty. And I know that's always a fight around the world to keep that. But even just looking at the photos, when I'm on your website, an-cos-shieldaig.co.uk, so A-N-C-O-X, let me start again, A-N-C-O-S-H-I-E-L-D-A-I-G.co.uk, everyone. When you look at this, it is just exquisite. And the house, I mean, this is this is luxury. And I love when you get to, I love number one, the fact that you are, 5 minutes walk to the pub. That's a very good thing for me. And walking and pubbing go hand in hand. But when it comes to, I always love a place where we can cook our own meals and do it from locally sourced ingredients, because then you kind of feel like you're living like a local at that point. And I like to have my coffee and have my own breakfast before I see everybody, because I'm much nicer that way. But tell us about the kitchen and what the house is like to stay in, how many people can stay there, that kind of thing.
Okay, well, we're open all year round. We can sleep up to 10 people. And we have a steam room, which is absolutely fantastic if you come back from a long walk or a day on the hill. Or we have a wonderful kitchen, which has got fabulous cooking facilities. So it's exceptionally well equipped, because we use an-cos as a home, and I want it to be my home, which I then offer to other people as well. So it's got absolutely everything. You could cater for a banquet here. It's got every facility that you could think of. And all of the rooms, the kitchen, the dining room, and the lounge are all at the front of the house. So they've all got these fantastic views over the loch. So there's nothing nicer than preparing food, looking out at the water and the mountains. And the way that the house has been designed, it is semi-open plan on the ground floor. So you can have the doors open into the lounge and have a roaring log fire going, which you can see from the dining room and also from the kitchen. So it's a very kind of sociable place. We've got a big window seat in the kitchen, so people can amble in with a drink while whoever's turn it is to do the cooking is doing the cooking. We've used natural materials everywhere, so oak floors and oak paneling, tongue and groove paneling, which is traditional in this area actually. And so we've used that downstairs with local granite slate flooring, again, which comes up from the Northern Highlands. And upstairs we have 4 bedrooms. We've got a study cum 5th bedroom downstairs. We've got a bathroom downstairs, which is also a steam room, which is great when you've got older people staying here who don't want to go upstairs or who need to sit down when showering. So that works really well. We've got internet. We've got really quite good reception here. So
when can I move in? I'm ready to move.
Yeah, and it's very nicely furnished, and it's home.
Oh, that's lovely. And I think that's something about luxuries when you're that comfortable. It's and I love that you're using natural materials and the views. To me, that's the thing. You want to be able to, watch. I love to watch the weather, and you mentioned that in your article, and I thought that is so. That's the thing, is to be able to see nature, and live within nature. That it just looks absolutely amazing. I do have to ask you 2 things before you go. One is whiskey distilleries. I know all of us over here, the first thing we think of in Scotland is, okay, where are the distilleries? Are you close to distilleries?
Well, the closest one is on the Isle of Skye. And the Isle of Skye is about to drive from here. It's about an hour and a half away. But in terms of driving, an hour and a half up here isn't very far. Just to give you an idea, we are about 5 hours drive north from either Edinburgh or Glasgow. Oh, okay. So we're quite high up. And there are, you have to go quite a way before you come across these little hamlets and villages, because the whole area is so, I wouldn't say remote, but it's unspoilt and not built up at all. So very untouched. But the nearest distillery is in, as I say, Skye. There are a couple of others just outside Inverness, which is going eastwards. And that is where most people, if they were flying in, would fly to Inverness. Okay. So there are quite a few distilleries around there. So it would always be possible, if people wanted to to, go and spend a little bit of time over in that area, do some of the distilleries over on the East Coast, and then come over here. There are also a lot of really well-known golf courses not far from Inverness, some very famous ones for any of your members who might be interested in golf. We do have a golf course over here in the area, not very far away, 40 minutes away, but it's only a 9-hole golf course, and it's not in the same league as some of the ones on the East Coast.
So there's a lot to do, obviously, and so you're saying, just about 5 hours from Edinburgh and Glasgow. Do a lot of people come in, fly into London, and then come out to you from, to get to the house?
Yes, a lot of people fly up to Inverness from London. You can get quite cheap flights. Every day there are flights. You can also come from other airports in the UK, from Manchester, from Bristol, from Birmingham. But that's all people. You can also come up if you're coming from London on the overnight sleeper train, which is quite a nice way to arrive in the Highlands.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I love train rides. That's the first thing we did. The very first time we came to England, we moved from Kenya to England, and we arrived in London, and next thing you know, we're on a train, and I'm like, oh, so this is England. It gave me such a good, kind of idea of what the area was like. As a little kid, I was like, oh, this is where we're moving to. Nice, So beautiful, so wonderful. So glad that you wrote about the area and introduced us to this, because it just is, like I was saying, so exquisite. And everyone, again, you can go to an-cos-shieldaig.co.uk. The article is up on nationalparktraveling.com. You can just type in Scotland and you'll find it. And also is in the June-July issue of Parks and Travel magazine. Thank you so much for joining us, Chrissy.
Thank you very much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and everybody.
I hope you'll be heading over to Scotland sometime soon.
Yeah, when I do, I'm moving right into your house. I'm not just staying, for a few days. Oh, that's the one thing. Do you have a limit on, or like do people have to stay more than 3 nights, or that kind of thing?
Yes, okay. There is one problem, not a problem, but there's a great shortage of help, because the population is quite low here. So we can only do 7-day bookings between March and October, because I don't have any flexibility with housekeeping arrangements. So it has to be for a 7-night stay. But during the quieter winter months, we're very happy to be more flexible and do 3 or 4 night stays, because then it is not as busy and it's much easier to arrange housekeeping.
Excellent. Excellent. I want to thank our listeners for joining us as well. Don't forget, Big Blend Radio airs Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and Fridays and Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, we've got to play some music. And so our good friends Highland Way over here in America, led by Brian Caldwell, who is from Caledonia. And this is a song called Skyboat Song, and it's off of their album By Land or Sea, which I think fits perfectly for your region, Chrissy, since you're not so far from the island. Right. Thank you so much. Here it is.
Okay.
Skyboat Song.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Speed, bonny boat, like a bird on the wing, onward the sailors cry. Carry the lad that's born to be king, over the sea to sky. Loud the wind howls, loud the waves roar, thunder claps round by the shore, follow they will not dare. Speed, bonny boat, like a bird on the wing, onward the sailors cry. Carry the lad that's born to be king, over the sea to sky. Many's the lad fought on that day, well the claymore could wield. When the night came, silently lay, dead on Culloden's field. Speed, bonny boat, like a bird on the wing, onward the sailors cry. Carry the lad that's born to be king, over the sea to sky.